This is your host, Pete Moore, and I am pleased and humbled to announce the launch of my one and only book titled Time to Win Again, 50 Takeaways from Playing and Watching Team Sports to Guarantee Your Business Success. Those of you who know me personally, and anyone who listens to Halo Talks for any length of time, know that I am an avid sports fan and a big believer in the value of team sports. What I've seen over the past 25 years helping businesses grow, raising capital, being an entrepreneur myself, and coaching and mentoring executives in the sector, it's the lessons learned on the field perfectly apply to business. Entrepreneurs, executives, managers, you name it. Every company that's a strong company has got a good team. It's a quick read. There's awesome illustrations in there from our good friend Mark at Cruelty Free Cartoons. If you go to integritysq.com, enter your email address, and we will send you information on the book and the Entrepreneur's Survival Kit as well. Be great. Take names. Go Halo. This is Pete Moore at Halo Talks NYC on location, Manhattan Beach. Bringing in Dan Uyemura right down the road, El Segundo. We are going to push and press, and we're going to find out how to run your club better than you did before. So, Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And let me tell you, I actually run a podcast myself, and like switching on that welcome intro voice is no easy feat for anyone who hasn't done it.
So right? You like that?
Super impressed, dude. You went from chill to like, we are in the podcast. Let's go.
Thank you. Well, the last podcast I did with the guy who's played the NHL, we sang "Oh Canada" to start. So, I got to switch on that every once in a while. So we're going to keep my singing. Yeah, we're no karaoke on here. But why don't you talk about your entrepreneurial background that brought you to this industry, and we'll talk about what you guys are doing to help people out.
Right on. I'll try and keep it brief. So, I'm the type of person who knew I was an entrepreneur from the get-go. I used to have a paper out, and I had put brownie stands up on the corner and stuff like that as a kid. I went to college right through the internet, kind of becoming commercially available. 1993 through 1999 was my college years, and jumped right into the internet. So I launched a startup. It was basically MySpace a little bit too early. It was a community, blah, blah. We got funded, and it went under with the dot-com bubble. And so I kind of put my tail between my legs, and I worked for a bunch of startups because I didn't like losing other people's money. And that's what happened in that instance. Worked for a bunch of startups here in LA, basically gained like 40 pounds because during the time they would just give you Italian dinners every night and give you cans of Coke on your desk because they wanted you to code. And had a midlife crisis at 35 plus 40 pounds and decided I need to get back in shape. So I'm as an entrepreneur, we do everything to the extreme. So I basically found my way right into a CrossFit gym after having done nothing for 10 years, lost 50 pounds. So I lost all 40 pounds plus some, was in the best shape of my life at 35. Couldn't believe what was happening. And the entrepreneur in me realized, I think this is the future of fitness. Actually, this was in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. Went right down the route of opened a gym. And once I got into the gym space, realized all the software was subpar based on what I knew we could build in the software industry. So got immediately to work on building software for gyms. And here I am today, 10, 12 years later.
Awesome. So, as you took a look at the space, there's tech stacks galore when it comes to, hey, I got this, plugin for CRM. I got this plugin for, data analytics. So what does PushPress do, and how have you kind of decided, hey, this is what our core feature set is, and here's where, you should plug in our API with others?
Yeah. So, I guess the key learning for us, the two big things were, we knew what software can do when we started building software. And two, we knew how to run a gym because we had actually been running a gym while building the software. And the biggest problem I had with all the competitors or things when I was evaluating the software that was available at the market at the time was they were all really confusing. And I think it was because they were built during a time when APIs weren't available, integrations weren't a thing. It was less modern at the time that they were built. And therefore, they just Frankenstein together this huge, horizontal piece of software. We took the approach where PushPress was to be designed more like an iPhone. Because again, at the time when we built this, iPhones were already out. So we had that as a frame of reference. When you buy an iPhone, it comes with 10 apps. like notes and calendar and whatever, clock. But then everything that you want to do to make it yours, you're a financial guy or fitness guy, you extend it with financial and fitness apps. You like playing games, you install a bunch of games. That was the approach we took with PushPress from day one. We built it on the concept of integrations and extensibility through the concept of an app store. And I think that's one of the big things that we kind of nailed early.
Gotcha. And when you take a look at some of the clients you have, I'd say MindBody kind of started as running one type of studio, probably wasn't as flexible when it came to looking at, your entire company owned locations or franchise locations. So how did you guys architect it, or what's the ideal type of platform or number of studios or number of clubs, or does that not matter?
For us, as of today, actually, we sit in a really unique spot that I think a lot of our competitors have actually left or kind of moved away from. And that's in more of the single owner operated, or you only own 2 or 3 type of locations. We are working towards multi-location, of course. That is the next iteration of what we're doing. But as of today, we work really well if you're, call it a single owner operator, fitness fanatic. Yeah.
And I saw on your website that up to a certain amount of processing, there actually is no software fee. So talk to us about how, that's set up and, what are you guys trying to handle the payment processing, or what, what's the goal on your end?
Yeah. So many talking points to this. One of the reasons I started PushPress was because when I opened my first gym, I went through a month-long process of negotiating with a payments provider. And if you've negotiated with a payments provider, you'll understand my pain here. It was like faxing statements, faxing my ID, bunch of negotiation at the time. And I negotiated a 1.9% payment processing rate. One of my first members of the gym is actually one of the co-founders of PushPress. He was a banker. His name is Brian. And he told me there's no way in hell I was getting 1.9%. And he said, show me your statements. So I showed him my statements. He ran all the numbers and he said I was paying 4.5%, really, which really pissed me off because I spent a month of my life negotiating for the 1.9. So what we did is we partnered with Stripe early, and Stripe is just a flat 2.9% payment processing fee. Another thing about us is I owned a gym. Most of my team has owned gyms, and we're really passionate about gym owners. They're on a good mission. They're doing the right thing for the world, and they need support. Paying for expensive software to run your business when you're just starting a gym is really rough. Like I went through that, right? And so what we built, we actually were the first gym management software to offer a completely free tier. So it's free to use the software. There are some gates, obviously, because the idea is you're a brand new gym. We do add 1% to the payment processing fee. So you're paying a fixed 3.9%. So the idea and the message behind it is we want you to grow, because when you grow past $14,000 a month in billing, that 1% becomes more expensive. So let's just flip you to a flat payment and then you don't have to pay that anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So as you look to compete against someone, there's not a shortage of club management systems out there now. Obviously, there's been a fair amount of consolidation. How do you kind of get through the noise of, the different feature sets? And, there's some people that have come from outside the industry, but don't necessarily understand how the industry works. They just think that their software is conducive to how to run a club. So how do you differentiate and, really get the message across that, look, I've done this, I built this so I could run my club and really know what's going on, versus, other options you might have, like they might be good ones for you, but let me tell you how we differentiate.
Yeah. I mean, I'll preface this and say that all software has its flaws, and all software, like any software, might be the better fit for any gym, right? There's not a universal truth to that. And I will also say, like, I am an advocate for gym owners. And if another software does work better for their needs, I will just tell them that, because I want them to succeed with or without PushPress, right? But to answer your question, we generally we honestly were built in the lens of running a gym. And like you said, there are a lot of competitors they come from payment processing backgrounds. They came from PE backgrounds. They don't really know what it's like to be boots on ground. You're not just the gym owner, but you're the head trainer, you're the programmer, you're the janitor, you're the sales guy, you're the marketer, you're everything, right? And we know what that's like, because that was my life for like almost a decade, right? And we built the entire experience of PushPress around it. And like when I say that our sweet spot is kind of like the single owner operator, it's that, because You're big enough. If you're making $100,000 a month and you're running kind of a bigger gym and you have front desk staff, that you can navigate your way around a system that isn't applicable to PushPress. Ours is made for like, if you have one coach on the floor and you don't have a front desk person and you might be there as the owner, and the whole system needs to be able to run without a bunch of people doing high touch stuff. Like the system needs to take care of it all for you. And that's kind of our sweet spot today. We will extend that for, bigger gyms in the future, but the same concepts do apply. But for now, our sweet spot is more that.
Mm-hmm. So what have you seen over the last year in maybe a heightened interest in optimizing the software features that you have, or what are some of the things that you've seen that you're excited about clubs moving towards?
One thing I am seeing is like there's a maturity going on in the boutique fitness space, and I think ultimately that's driven by like the Orange Theories and them and the various boot camps coming into the space. Like you've got to compete at a higher level. Mm-hmm. Years ago, gyms didn't care about churn. It was just all about finding leads, or, they didn't know what MRR meant, or they didn't care about recurring revenue. There is a maturity that's happening now. And I think, we're happy to be on the forefront of that. One of the really exciting things to me as a tech nerd is previously ideas like machine learning and AI and big data sets and things like this were only the luxury of an IBM or a Facebook, right? Like they were the only ones who can really have the computing power to crunch through this stuff and be able to hire the engineers to make use of this data. That's not the case now. So what's really cool that's going to be coming down the pipe, probably across all systems, not just PushPress, is going to be a huge push towards data-driven decisions, machine learning taking place on the back end, a lot of automation that couldn't be afforded before. And I think it's going to unlock a lot of productivity amongst, let's just call them for what they are, like really high stressed gym owners who are doing too much stuff, right? Like the goal of software should be to automate redundant jobs away from your day so you can focus on what, as a human being, you're best at doing, and that's relating with your customers personally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen some people kind of hide behind the technology. They say like, yeah, I communicate with my members, like a studio that could have, 300 members, and they say, oh yeah, we send an email, and I'm like, well, what are the people actually saying, and how are you figuring out how to put that into something that's measurable and then manage the business according to that? So I'm happy to hear that you're saying that people are going to be using AI. It's not like, okay, here's the people that are most likely to cancel in the next 60 days, do something about it, and don't just,
to take that a step further, what systems are going to be built towards, at least what we're going to be built towards, is not just here's Johnny, he's going to churn in the next 60 days. It's going to be, here's Johnny, he has a 58% chance of churning in the next 60 days because his attendance used to be this, is now this, and his engagement rate in the member app is this. And in order to fix this, you should send this text with this copy.
Right.
And if he doesn't reply, then you should, it's going to just tell you what to do. Right. Mm-hmm. And that stuff is because as a gym owner, like you might kind of know anecdotally what you have to do, but like having the data behind it matters. And then the system can learn and say like, oh, when we send that message, Johnny didn't reply, but Mary did reply to this other thing. So we can start to adjust down the right funnel. Right.
And at PushPress, are you actually developing that or building that in?
Yep. Yeah.
And is that an extra charge, or is that how do you guys think about that? Is that the way to like help enhance the recurring nature of their business and your business at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, our job is to make our clients successful. And if they're successful, we're successful. So will that be an added charge? No, but at some point we're artificially low priced right now. Mm-hmm. Some point we're probably going to raise rates, right? So the cost will go up, but the value will be 10x that minimum,
Got it. You're in a unique position because you've come from outside the industry. How much time as an entrepreneur do you spend looking at what's going on in other industries instead of just your own, or our own, in order to get ideas or, say, hey, look, this is what's going on in the restaurant industry. Like this is what's going to have to happen in our industry in a year, or how do you think about it as like a forward thinking entrepreneur?
So there's multiple answers to this. One, I really don't spend a ton of I don't have blocked out time or concerted time that I spend looking at other industries. As an entrepreneur, and probably anyone else here who is an entrepreneur will relate, every business I interact with, I dissect. I'll go into a restaurant. I try to understand what's their funnel. What are they trying to get me to do? Where, how does this business work? Where are they making money? Why is this so cheap? And then all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So the trends, I'll say this much. One of the biggest eye openers I had, I never owned a SaaS company before this one. So I've spent my last 5 years learning everything I can about SaaS. I didn't even know what some of these high level unit economics were 5 or 6 years ago. What I realized is gyms are basically SaaS companies.
Yeah.
Their service as a service is what they are, right? So everything I learn in terms of how to grow PushPress, how to increase unit economics, how to generate leads, how to go outbound, how to do inbound, everything we do completely applies to gyms, right? Mm-hmm. Almost 100%, except they're just dealing with people in person, right? So they have slightly different scalability issues, and they have brick and mortar footprints that they have to deal with and stuff. But one of the biggest education pieces we can do as we work with gyms is just teaching them how to understand unit economics of a service business, right? So I pay attention to most service businesses I interact with for that measure.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about pricing, I'm trying to get health club operators to raise their price. There's no reason why it should cost less to buy a turkey wrap than, a health club membership for a month in New York City. So, as you think about engaging with people and saying, hey, look, this is what my price is as the start, but I'm kind of mission critical to your business, and you actually want me to make more money, because the more money I make, the more money I'm going to reinvest in my business. So, we're kind of lockstep, and we're actually a partner with you. Do you have hope, or do you see operators saying, look, if I'm going to compete with Orange Theory, I'm not going to compete on price. So I'm going to compete on, value and results, and I got to get paid for that. Yep.
Yeah. So, I think the common journey of an entrepreneur is you compete on price until you can compete on value, right? That's common, and it's inherent. Without even thinking about it, people do that. What you have to get people to realize is once you have value, you have to compete on value. You shouldn't be competing on price. And I think that's the turnover. That's the point where a lot of gym operators don't see is I am either this close to unlocking value or I'm already there. And now I just have to, and what it is the confidence in sales really is what it is. Most gym operators, especially the ones we deal with, the single owner operator types, they love their clients. They love their community. They really want people to get fitter, and that's their mission. They don't want to be seen as a slimy salesperson. What they don't understand is when you don't deploy some sales technique and some designed funnel for sales, you're actually doing a disservice to the people, because they might not join your gym, and they might not even get into fitness because they weren't led to understand the value that they can get out of your process. The other thing to this point that was brought to my attention maybe 3 or 4 years ago that is so relevant is generally there's 2 types of shoppers in the world. And let me know what you identify with. There's top-down shoppers and there's bottom-up shoppers. So top-down means you're going on a vacation and you're looking for a hotel. You start looking at the most primo hotels and you start shopping down to what you can afford. And then there's bottom-up shoppers who start at Motel 6 and go it's in a druggy area, I don't want to do that. And they move up to what they're comfortable with, right? Me, I'm a top-down shopper.
Yeah, I top down it. Not bragging. I'm just answering your question.
No, yeah, it's not bragging, because you might.
I'm just kidding. That's just how I roll, right?
Yeah, and you might go all the way down to something not that great, right? But you want to start aspirational, and I think that's a mindset, right? You want to work with aspirational people who want to start at the top, right, and want to get to the top, and those people are willing to pay to be at the top, right?
Yeah.
And when we're talking unit economics, you want to work with the people who are willing to pay to be at the top, because once you get them to the top, they'll pay you what you're worth.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you think about that, because, a lot of, if you're a steak restaurant, you're gonna lead with, the Kobe beef, and then somebody can come in and get a petite filet, right? But you're saying I got the best stuff here. Where in the health club industry, you're 0 down, 19 a month. And then I'm going to try and upsell you to $99. Why don't I say like $99 a month? I will fucking change your life and you will be so amazing. But if you want to feel mediocre, like I got a $19 option. Like, wouldn't that be a better way to like present the meal?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a million different theories on pricing, and some people will talk about price anchoring on the 19 and then getting them to go up. But I think the hard part about selling at a high price point is you have to provide value or people will quit. Yeah. You can't charge $399 a month for a gym membership and be a 24-hour fitness, right? So you have to back up what you're doing. But if you can back up what you're doing, you should be charging an aspirational price.
Yeah. So switching gears, last question I had for you. The pace of change on technology today is about as fast as it can get. When you think about the amount of versions of new apps that get uploaded with new features or, bug fixes. I used to run a software company in 2000 to 2003. We had a new version come out, once every 12 months. Some of my sales guys, unfortunately, would try and sell that version before it was ready. So nobody bought the prior version. Just didn't help with sales. Leave that aside. You as a technologist, as an entrepreneur, as somebody that's, probably fastened your seatbelt, is the pace of change in our industry too fast? Is it just right? Is it, hey, we don't have time to digest the technology? What's your view on that? Given being an entrepreneur and having thousands of opportunities and trying to pick them.
Yeah, it's a wide question, right? Because this could apply to the consumer, this could apply to the gym owner, this could apply to me building software. A lot of different ways to go. Let's put it this way. In my opinion, I think the consumer is the ultimate important piece because they're the ones who are buying gym memberships, right? I think consumers love technology change. They love going from, watching CBS News at night to having Netflix watch anything you want all the time, binge watch everything, right? That's the world of consumer technology. Mm-hmm. As a result, as a gym, you are selling and competing for their attention, and that's what they want, right? I'm not saying, and it would be tough to implement too much technology in the gym because I do think in the gym, there is something about just raw back squatting and doing burpees and running. There's, the untechnological appeal to that and building community and all the things that happen in these gyms have no technology, right? But the things surrounding that, they do want technology. They want to have a nice member app they can interact with the gym with. They want a community piece to it. They want to be able to, sign up for a membership at your gym or a free trial class without spending 18 minutes, and trying to remember passwords and all that. Like all the pieces where they do touch tech have to be flawless and fast.
That's a great answer. So in closing here, you got any good quotes that you live by or things that you like to say or things that motivate you when late at night you're fixing something?
Honestly, so many. I mean, as a philosophy, I think it's important to fail as a human being. If you're a gym owner, you should be able to appreciate. So many people are afraid of failing, right? But in the gym, I keep speaking to the gym owner, right? Because it's what I love. You need people to fail. I have to fail my back squat in order to establish a one rep max, right? I have to try for a 7-minute mile to get a 7-minute mile. I have to try and fail 100 times to get a 7-minute mile, right? Comfort doesn't bring anything, right? So failing is a part of the process and you just have to fail fast and learn from it. Everyone already knows that. The next thing I would tell people, since I've got the platform to do it, there's a guy in the tech space named Naval Ravikant. He started a few companies. He's actually put out a podcast. He did a tweet storm, which he turned into a podcast, which is basically how to become rich without being lucky. You're nodding your head, Dave. You heard of it?
Dave knows it, yeah.
Fucking life-changing. So I tell everyone I get a chance to, it's a free podcast. It's a free ebook even, right? I bought the book because it was so life-changing to me, even though I listen. So I do long distance running because I can listen to things that make me smarter or whatever while I get some exercise. I've listened to that podcast probably 5 times now.
Mm-hmm. Naval,
how to get rich without getting lucky. Yeah. Listen to that over and over and over again, because there's so many tidbits in there that will change your perception on how to run your business or approach life that are key, right?
Awesome. All right. On that note, I'll see you for brunch in El Segundo.
Yeah.
Welcome officially to the Halo sector. Feel free to use that acronym, and look forward to meeting you in person here. And www.pushpress.com. Help one person at a time, one gym owner at a time, and we will successfully change the world. Good to have you on. Thanks, man.
Thank you.